Yet another episode of Career Guidance and Development in Africa. I have the lovely Sherry. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I'm looking forward to learning and hearing much more from you. You're welcome, Sherry.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Awesome. Now, I have looked at your profile. My goodness, where were you when I was going to school? Maybe I would have been a better person by now. You have been a career counselor and you are an education consultant, and you've been doing this for some time in Egypt, in Dubai. Please tell us more about yourself. What haven't you done in terms of education? I mean, who are you? What do you do? And did you go to school to specifically study this, or did your career path change along the way?
Yeah. So my story is interesting because I think, so I wanted to be a teacher all of my life, ever since I was little. And I think all of this kind of feeds into why I became a career counselor.
Mhm.
So when I was little, like, who do you know, right? You know your mother, you know your father, you know maybe some cousins, some aunts and uncles, but you don't really hear about lots of careers and whatever. And who did you look up to when you're 7? The only person you know, and that's your teacher, or your parents. My parents worked things that were very high level that I didn't understand when I was 7. And so I'm just like, I want to be a teacher, and they're so great. And so I never changed my trajectory. It became, I'm going to be a teacher. And I did everything necessary to be a teacher. In Canada, for example, teachers' college is very competitive. And so you need really good grades to get into teachers' college, and you need very specific subjects and very specific requirements and things like that. And I was just very focused. I'm going to be a teacher. So I finished high school between Egypt and Canada, and then I finished university, my undergrad degree at the University of Toronto. And then I had to go apply to teachers' college, kind of like a master's degree. And then when I applied to teachers college, because like I said, it was very competitive, so I wasn't sure I would get in. And then I started looking at other options, like how to be a teacher and other degrees. I was thinking about going to the US or going to Australia. There was all these options to get your teaching certifications. Thankfully, I got accepted to Ontario Institute of Studies in Education, which is University of Toronto's Teachers College, and I got my teacher's degree. And then I stepped into the classroom for the first time as a teacher. And I knew that I made a mistake. This was not my calling. And so I worked towards then becoming a counselor. So I help kids not fall into the same trap that I fell into. And that's my background. That's how I got into career counseling.
Amazing. So why do you say that it was a trap that no one else should go to? I mean, you were a teacher, you had done all your training. What happened? Yeah, just
So
out of curiosity.
so what happened was I chose subjects that were inflexible. So I went to university and studied and I had 2 majors and a minor. My majors were theater because I wanted to teach drama.
Okay.
My second major was history because I wanted to teach social studies. And my minor was English literature because I wanted to teach English. So stepping into the classroom, so yeah, I did the training in teachers college and I did my internships and whatever, and it was still fun. You had somebody to help you out, and the kids were like very close to my age, and it was different. So when I had my own classroom, then I liked delivering the information. I was actually a very good teacher, but a lot of the parts that you don't see as a student, these are the things that I discovered, and then I also decided that this is not where my forte lies. This is not where my strengths are, right? So because my undergraduate degree was very, very specific, geared towards me becoming a teacher, when I wanted to change careers later on, it was not possible. What job am I going to apply to with a degree in theater and history, right? So So this is what I'm saying. I really enjoyed what I studied.
Yeah.
And even the teaching certification, I found it really, really valuable, even like later on when I dealt a little bit with corporates and my education consulting work and things like that. But my degree was so inflexible
Mm.
that it gave me no room to kind of move.
Yeah.
And so this is what I try to do with my students now. Like if they really want to be, if they really want to major in English literature, I'll be like, fine, but minor in business,
Okay.
minor in communication,
Yeah. Yeah.
just so you have options. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yes, I get it. So growing up, when you were in school, apart from you saying I must do education and you follow it through, did you have any other person to give you career guidance? I mean, in your school, wherever you were, either professional career guidance or even, I mean, a teacher walking to you and say, Sherry, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't do this. If you opted for business, for example, you would be a better business person. Did you get any of those career guidance tips?
So, like I said, I went to high school in Canada. So I was in a Catholic school in Canada. And we did have a career counselor, university and career counselor on staff.
Mhm.
Um, but our job is very different region to region, right? So in Canada, her job was to see what we're going to do. Are we going to go after high school? Are we going to go straight to the workplace? Or are we going to go to like a vocational technical institute? Or are we going to go to university? And so since I was on the university track,
Yeah.
there were only like 6 universities in Ontario.
Mhm.
So which university do you want to go to? 1, 2, 3, what do you want to major in? 1, 2, 3. And it was very, there wasn't a lot of give and take. There wasn't a lot of, okay, well, what do you want to do? What does your future look like? Where are you going to live?
Yeah.
It was very, what's it called? Like outlined in a way where there wasn't, again, a lot of flexibility or conversation.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know what my options were. So actually, one of the things,
Mhm.
even though I wish she had told me that I'm not teacher material. One of the things was that there were 2 types of degrees that I didn't know about. One, at some universities, you can do your 4 years of undergrad and then apply again to a teacher's college. In
Mm.
other universities, you could do a 5-year program where you don't have to reapply. You just have the 4 years of undergrad and the 1 year of teacher's college all attached. So you don't have the stress of having to apply again and take a break after your undergrad and things like that. So, for example, she never told me about something like that. So I
Mm.
learned the hard way and then it was too late. And so even the thing that I wanted to do, she didn't give me all the information about, let alone the things that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So yeah, so even though she was there to help us apply to university,
Yeah.
she didn't really counsel us on careers or research or planning or anything like that.
Mm.
Um, and like my parents saw in me certain things, so they're like, you should be a lawyer, you should be a lawyer, you should be
Yeah.
a lawyer, but you never listen to your parents at that age, right? So,
Sometimes, yes. Yeah.
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 And later on, when I wanted to be a lawyer, I'm like, I have to go to law school and I have to take the bar and I have to take the LSAT. And I'm like, it's too late. Like at that point, it was too late. If I had listened to my parents, I think life would have been very different.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, no, I missed out on having some kind of consultant at that age.
So is that consultant available today in Egypt? I'll speak for Egypt specifically. Is it there in Egypt? Like I can walk into your office. I know you're a career guidance person at for like maybe a university consultant. So I need to know, are you specifically going to give me guidance on what I should do at the university? Which university should I go to? Or if I am in year 9, can I walk to your office and say, I'm stranded. I love maths, but it's being hard and complicated. Yet I can see I'm good at history. What do you think I can do for my A levels? What do you think I should I do A levels? Should I do IB? Are you available to give me a youth who is there struggling? I don't know what to do. Can I walk into your office and you give me that kind of guidance? Or are you strictly saying, like your counselor was, it's about the university, which university to go to, like you're asking me what you want me to do, and you are not giving me your perspective. You have that chance to know what I'm strong in, and you give me guidance, or what's your role as a career counselor, should I say?
I'll tell you. So, it's a really good question. So here at NCBI, I work at NCBIS, and I'm the head of university and career counseling.
Mhm.
So my job is to help with middle school and high school, um, to educate students about careers and university. So it really depends on their age range. Yes, kids can come in, drop in and ask me questions. Parents drop in and ask me questions. And parents will come in and be like, my student is 4 years old, but we really want them to go to university in Canada. I'd be
Mhm.
like, okay, so we're talking that we're still 14 years away from from university, but
Yeah.
I can help put them on the right path, right?
Yes, yes.
So I deal with students from all ages,
Yeah.
but my focus is on the middle school students, building up their skills,
Yeah.
helping them understand their interests, helping them understand that life is flexible and
Okay.
that you can change your mind and then you can set yourself up in a way where you have plan A, plan B, plan C. Um, and then with the older years, this is where we get more into the nitty-gritty, the details.
Yeah.
Are you going to go to university in the UK, Canada, the US, Egypt? And what is your budget? What region do you want to be in? What do you want to study? How
Mhm.
long do you want to be in university for? Et cetera, et cetera. So this is where we have these conversations about, okay, well, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's at a very late stage. I don't like asking that of younger students
Yeah.
because I don't want them to put an idea in their head like I did when I was little and then hold on to it and say like, well, I said I'm going to be an engineer, so I have to be an engineer. You know what I mean? Let's see what you're good at. Let's see what you like. Let's see where life kind of takes you. And then we can figure out the details when you're older and you can see what subjects you're good at, etc.
So isn't it good that, like you said, which good subjects are you good at for you or for the education system or the career counselors and people who give help, assistance to these students? Isn't it good enough for people in year 9, year 11 to get this guidance early enough so that, recently I had a student, one of my clients, and she had just finished year 13, and she had applied to do law, and and she is so passionate about culinary arts, and she
Hmm.
was confused, and the parents are telling her you must do law, and she was here saying, can I do both? But I mean, we're talking, you have finished your year 13 and your results have already come, and you're not sure which university you're going to. You understand? I look at it as too late. Not too late in the sense of too late because you are bound to maybe miss a year or something because you've not yet been placed to any university. Isn't it good for us, or what do you think, that students in transitional classes should be given this information, like routinely or religiously, to say you need to know this and this? We are not telling you you must do this as a career, but maybe you just give them basic information on how to handle their lives. What do you think?
Yes, I completely agree. So to that point, what I like to do with the younger students is teach them the terminology.
Uh,
What is an undergraduate degree? What is a master's degree? What is a PhD? When do we get them? What happens when you have one or the other, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah,
Okay, so I do some research. If I want to be an engineer, what do I need to do? If I want to be an architect, what do I need to? If I want to be a doctor, what do I need to do? And so this way, it helps them figure out that information themselves,
yeah,
so that they can read about each profession to see if it's something that they actually would be interested in, and then plan towards it if it's something that interests them.
yeah.
Um, I want to say that it's never too late.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like students to be set up in a way, and this is why I say minor in business, minor in communications, minor in public relations, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because especially with business, if a student doesn't know what they want to do, and they might find culinary arts later on,
Mhm.
with a degree in business, you can still do the culinary arts, but you also understand the business side of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was my problem with studying theater, history, and English. Okay, I have all of this theory, I have all of this knowledge, and no way to apply it to anything,
Mm.
right? Because life works that way, where you have to have some kind of technical knowledge about something in order to be able to work in that field, right? So my technical knowledge is in education, which is great, but not very transferable. And I think that's the other thing, where the younger kids, I like having them start really early at having these transferable skills
Mm.
that they can use in a lot of different jobs or experiences or occupations. And I also like putting them in experience, work placements or internships or things like that. So again, they can be on the ground and see what a doctor does, what a hospital looks like,
Yeah.
what I've sent students to an engineering company. I've sent kids to a five-star hotel to
Yeah.
look at what hospitality looks like. So all of this is what I try to build up when they're younger
Yeah.
without having them make any decisions. And
Mm-hmm.
then little by little they find themselves leaning more towards physics, leaning more towards the arts, leaning more towards humanities, and then you have your answer, right? But trying really hard to force a kid to be good at physics because you want them to be an engineer
Sure. Yeah.
doesn't work that way. You kind of have to work backwards.
Yeah, you have to. So do you emphasize their strengths and weaknesses? Do you point them out? And if someone says, I'm actually stuck with education, I want to do education, do you point out to them that, you know what, actually, if you did biology, you'd make a good doctor? Yeah. In such scenarios, what have you had such scenarios where a student is adamantly saying, I must do this, and you're trying to guide them? How do you advise those students or their parents, I mean?
It's tricky because, like I said, it's regional and it's per family and it's very individualistic for each student. I can't ever give blanket statements about these things, but if a student is really, really adamant that they want to do something and maybe their grades aren't the best, um, I mean, at most of these private international schools, you have extra help or tutoring in-house or things like that so that they can raise their standard. But I also ask students to have a variety of courses. So for example, their GCSEs, here they take 8 to 9 courses. And so if you want to try taking that biology and chemistry, that's fine. But also take economics, also take business, also take something else so that you have both. You always keep your options open.
Yeah.
Because if you don't end up doing well with the physics, then you still have business and economics to fall back on. But if you don't take the business and economics and you don't do well in the physics, then now you're stuck,
Yeah.
right? So I always try to have students keep their options open, even with the A levels, even with IB. Never put all of their eggs in one basket. And the poor kids hear me say this all the time. Never put all of your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have options because you never know where life will take you, pretty much.
Mhm. As an education counselor in Egypt, now, I don't know if you have grown up in Egypt or if you have interacted with the rest of the systems in Egypt, but there is a need of career guidance. I've interacted with some of the students in the different schools, and they say, well, I don't have like clear career guidance. I don't know who to talk to. So it's me, myself, and I have to make my own decision. And so my question to you is, as an educational consultant, as a career counselor, what do you think Egypt as a whole? Because we have the students in urban schools and those in the rural schools, but I mean, sometimes our dreams and our target is the same. We all need those jobs out there, and we're all aiming at the same thing. But our passions and our skills lead us astray sometimes, not to achieve that we want to do. How do you help? How do you advise a person out there who is not sure of what they want to do or who doesn't have access to career guidance? What do you wish those people needed to do or should do in their lives?
I think it's just experience and exposure. I think people should, I know this is a lot easier said than done,
I
but
know.
travel, talk to a lot of people, ask a lot of questions. Like I've discovered so many jobs recently just by going to different conferences and different events and just being like, well, what do you do? And people are much nicer than people say, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll go up to anybody and be like, so what do you do? What's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And like, what does that look like every day? That
Mm-hmm.
you make investments. So what kind of investments? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, and you just by asking these questions, I've learned about so many different jobs that I had no idea because again, my experience is limited in education. I know everything
Yeah.
there is to know about education, but I don't know anything about the corporate world, for example. And
Yeah.
so I learn in order to be able to guide my students and counsel my students.
Yeah.
And I just find the best way to learn is through other people, asking questions, going out there, getting internships, getting all these experiences that teach you what exists.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a lot of reading, but I know this new generation isn't really about reading, but
Spoon fed, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just experience and exposure and asking questions, I think is the best way to learn about what's out there and then to help you make your own decisions.
Okay. Career guidance is important, is an important cornerstone in Egypt, yeah, for social and economic development. Career guidance can help the youth clarify their developmental and developmental experiences in the real world. Although approaches and concepts of career guidance may differ in practice, in general, it is regarded as an important public policy. It's regarded as an important public policy. So if it's regarded as an important public policy, is it accessible to all?
No.
Why?
But it's not so that's an interesting statement because so the Egyptian, if we're talking about the Egyptian national sorry, not even public education system, the national system,
Yeah.
um, it is very structured,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you go into they're changing it a bit now, but you go into high school, either humanities route or sciences route or math and sciences route,
Yes, someone told me that. Yes.
right?
Three options.
Three options. And then when you choose one of those, you finish your high school, kind of like your A-level exam
Yeah.
after grade 12 or your 13. And then based on the percent that you get on that exam, they place you
In
in a
those,
university program.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you don't get a lot of choice, which is good and bad, to be honest. Like sometimes I'm just like, I wish somebody had just said, these are the things you can do. Here are 5 programs, choose one of them. As
Yeah.
opposed to being like, do you want to be a chef or a doctor or an engineer? Or, like when people have so many options, it
Yeah.
becomes a lot more difficult to
Yeah.
make choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think career counseling here
Mm-hmm.
doesn't wouldn't work with our our national education program, our national curriculum. But at private international schools, where students do have choice because they will go to universities that are abroad or private universities or whatever, this is where it's important that they have career guidance because
Mm-hmm.
this is where they have a lot of options and they need to know, well, which country am I going to go to? Which program am I going to study? What am I going to choose for my A levels? What am I going to choose for my IB subjects? Whatever it is. So there's a lot more questions than in the Egyptian national system. The Egyptian national system, you have three routes. Choose one. That's it. And then everything else will be chosen for you, you know?
Oh, okay. So it's kind of not complicated for the nationals, yeah?
Right.
So as an international student, which is the best route for me to achieve my dream? Should I do A levels or should I do IB? One would be asking such a question.
So I've worked in a few different schools. I've worked in Canadian schools using Canadian curriculum. I've worked in IB schools. I've worked in A-level school. Um, and, all roads lead to Rome. You can take any of these curricula, and if you work hard,
Yeah.
you will all get to the same point, the same destination. And I think that's what more parents need to know. A
Yeah.
lot of parents push their kids into IB, for example, and IB is great, and I love IB, but it's not for everyone.
Mhm.
Like A levels isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people need more options because A levels usually, your average UK student will take three A levels. Some
Mhm.
people need more options than that because they need to keep their options open, like we talked about. If
Mhm.
I only take physics, math, and chemistry because I think I want to be an engineer and then change my mind,
Mhm.
it's three A levels is not enough.
Mhm.
For IB, the program is so broad and so massive and it's so much work.
Yeah.
And for some kids, that's amazing. And they need that kind of um, pressure and they need that kind of motivation all the time. But it's
Mhm.
not for everyone. The
Yeah.
Canadian system, you pick and choose your subjects, you pick and choose, and you can take different subjects for the 4 years of high school.
Yeah.
Some kids need that because they don't know they're still not sure what they want to do. So all roads really do lead to Rome. And as long as the student is studious and does what they're supposed to do and keeps an open mind, any curricula works and will all, if you want to go Ivy League, if you want to go Oxbridge, if you want to go to Canadian universities or what any universities, all of these curricula have worked, and my students have gone to the best universities with all the different curricula.
Yeah. Okay. So I've met parents who actually asked me, in a nutshell, just give me one sentence or two sentences that can explain the difference between IB and A level. For someone who is out there watching and does not understand what's the difference, or why should I have only three subjects and the other one has about six subjects? I mean, just in a nutshell, what does that mean for someone who wants to know?
Okay, so that's a good question. Two sentences might be a little too
Go
little, but
ahead.
I'll try.
Feel free.
Um,
Yeah.
so A levels, I think, are more for students that are sure about
Mm.
what they want to do.
Yeah.
IB is a little bit more for students that need kind of more time
Yeah.
and are interested in many different subjects. So if I'm sure I want to go to
Yeah.
medicine,
Who's interested in many subjects.
no, I think I mean, so, but for example, if a student wants to go into medicine,
Yes.
then they want to take chemistry, biology, math. That's all they'll need. Why waste my time with three other subjects
Mm.
and core and I don't know what?
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. I want to really focus on chemistry, biology, and math because also A levels is a lot more in the material is a lot more than in if you take IB biology and A level biology, you'll take a lot more information in A level biology.
Information is broad.
I'm sorry.
The information is broad. Yes. Yes.
Yes, very broad.
Yeah.
And so for IB, then, if I want to go into something like business and finance
Mhm.
or investment and I don't know what, you wanted to know a little bit about economics. You
Mhm.
want to really work on your language and have English. You
Mhm.
need to have some math because that's going to be important in business and finance. You want to do community service and whatever because you might want to go to an American university and American universities really look for that. So
Yeah.
it gives you kind of a more holistic approach to education, whereas the A levels are structured in a way where it's number one, it's for UK universities mostly. And number two, it's for students that kind of know what direction they're going in.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if I'm not so sure, IB would be a good idea because I have so many other options to look at. But if I'm certain that this is what I want to do, or I've gotten the career guidance that I need, then I hear you say A levels could be able to sort you out and you'll be able to concentrate maybe on more than on the things that you need to study. So
Mhm.
going back to you on the work that you do students in the entire school know that you actually have an office somewhere? Are they
Uh,
aware of that? Why I'm asking you this question is that I met some of the people that I was talking to, and they're like, we used to hear that there was a career guidance office, but we never walked into that office. So is are people aware that you actually exist and this is what you do? Is that
that's a really good question.
yeah?
And I think our job is very isolated. Counselors at schools are very isolated, right? Our job is very, very specific and we do very specific things. But
Yeah.
what we try to do is introduce ourselves to each year group and do the activities that we were had just talked about, whether it's interest surveys or skills or plan career days or bring in guest speakers like you were a guest speaker for us one time. We really appreciate it. So I try to put my face on
Oh,
the map so
mhm.
that kids know who I am.
Yeah.
But still, like younger kids are like, are you in charge of A levels? Yes and no. Like I'm not in charge of A levels, but I
Yeah.
work really closely with the person that's in charge of A levels. So
Yeah.
you are hanging out with the IB students a lot. Are you are in charge of IB? No, I'm not that either. And so it's nice when kids come and ask me, and then I'll tell them, and then they're like, "Oh, well, I want to go to this university," and then kind of word of mouth too.
Yeah.
But yes, I only started at NCBIS two in April. And so trying to get into each year group and with each child and whatever
Mhm.
is also in itself a whole job, right? Because the kids have so much going on.
Mhm.
And so to introduce one more person or one more concept or one more whatever is not easy. But yes, I do have an office, open door policy, and the kids can always come see me.
Awesome. And how is your day like? Do people actually come? Do students actually come?
Um, Yes, during the first, so most de university deadlines are in November and January. So October, November, January. So the first half of the school year is usually more dedicated to year 13s because they're the ones writing their applications, they're the ones applying to universities, they're the ones that have the deadlines and very, very high pressure.
Yeah.
So this is who usually is in my office um, until January, February.
Mhm.
After that, I open it up to year 12s so that they can start the process of the application system. And then also year 7 to year 11, because they also might have questions about choosing their subjects for the following year. They might have questions about not knowing what they might be interested in. Their parents have some questions about universities. Their passport is from, I don't know, Canada. Can I go to the UK for university? So I get a lot of random requests, and a lot of parents come in and see me, like I said,
Mm.
whether their kids are in reception or whether their kids are in year 7. I
Yeah.
get so many parents just coming in, and they need to feel heard a lot of the time, and they just want to feel some support
Yeah.
and just like, oh, okay, we get it. We
Reassurance.
got this. Reassurance. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yes. They just need to be reassured that they're doing the right thing. And somebody is looking after their child.
Mhm. Okay, that's great. So, to the students who are struggling out there and they are not sure what they want to become, because I mean, we are telling them it's good to know what you want to do early enough so that, yeah, you are able to pursue that. But in the event that they are not able to know what they want to pursue, and certain things are not clear to them, maybe the subjects are not clear to them, maybe the university we are recommending or the parents are talking about, because sometimes there's a lot of parent influence, on what to do and how to do it. What do you advise those students, those who are struggling out there, those who are not yet sure of where they want to do, where they want to go, and what subjects to do?
I think the point that I try to hammer uh, in every student is nothing is written in stone. So if you're struggling right now, you don't know what you want to do, number one, if you are able to take physics and math, always take physics and math
Mhm.
because physics and math will help you with anything you want to do later on, whether it's cooking, whether it's medicine, whether it's engineering, whether it's interior decorating, whether it's being an artist, a fine art, like doing fine arts.
Mhm.
Physics and math will help you with everything. If you're
Yeah.
not good at physics and math, then we can take any other subjects. But stay with the physics and math is the first thing I would recommend.
Mhm.
Keep your options open
Yeah.
always.
Mhm.
Be flexible.
Yeah.
And like I said, nothing is written in stone. So don't be afraid to change your mind. Don't be afraid to try different things. And like I said, ask questions because that's the only way I think people really learn is by experiencing life through other people.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a trend of the youth these days making money off social media, content
Mhm.
creators, YouTubers. What would you tell students? Because sometimes, like, you know what, I have a son who plays Fortnite, and he told me, I can make money by playing Fortnite, so I don't really need to go to school or do all those many subjects you're telling me. As a career counselor, please help us. I'm a parent now. How we tame, speak, guide our children who are being taken up by social media and they think they can make money off that, and maybe education is not that important these days. What do you tell them?
So I think this is not really new to this generation because I've had students who want to be athletes, right? I'm going to be a professional soccer player,
Sure. Yeah.
right? And it's just, I don't need to go to university. It's just like, okay, but this is where I say, keep your options open. What
Mhm.
if you tear your ACL?
Yes, yes,
You're
yes.
going to play Fortnite. What if you break your finger? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Then what? What are you going to do?
Mhm.
Get that business degree
Yeah.
and start a company where other kids can also play Fortnite and make money or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always keep your options open and don't put your eggs in one basket, I think is what I tell all these students. And some things are a hobby. I'm
Mhm.
gonna go to university and study photography.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can take courses in photography
Yeah.
and get that business degree. So then you can open your own studio, or you can start your own practice, or you can do whatever, and you'll understand profit and loss, and you'll understand a SWOT analysis, and you'll understand marketing, and you'll understand all of these things. So
Yeah.
I try to get students to, because again, they don't know. We expect them to know,
Yes.
and they don't know, right?
Yes.
And so I try to open their minds to what is possible and what can be considered a hobby and
Mm.
what can be considered a backup plan and what can be considered opening up your options.
Yeah.
So this is the counseling part of my job where I try to reason with them and talk to them about, okay, well, this is actually what life looks like. This is what a salary looks like. This is what taxes look like, you know?
Yes.
So I try to educate them in things that they might not be learning in the classroom.
Yes, yes. I think that is a very important point that there's certain things that we assume they know, but they actually don't know. So the things that are away from their books is what they need to know. And I like the point that you say, let them keep their options open. I mean, you can have all these many degrees, you can do all this other knowledge, but still pursue whatever it is that you're passionate about. I like that. Thank you so much, Sherry. So to the student out there who wants to be an entrepreneur and they feel I don't want employment and yet I want to do whichever course I want to do, whether it's doing medicine or entrepreneurship or engineering, but I really want to start up my own business. How do you help those?
Um,
And have you found such students? Are there students who come to you and they're like, no employment for me?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, actually, a lot of the newer generations want to start their own thing. Whether it's possible or not, whether they know what that looks like or not, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of kids have decided that they don't want to work for anybody else and they want to do their own thing.
Mm,
And again, depending on the student, if we're going to talk very technically, I say get the degree in medicine, get the degree in engineering, understand the technical knowledge, how things work,
mm,
and then get a business degree and go kill it. Like you will be able to do whatever you want with that with those two bodies of knowledge.
true.
Um, and you can, if you have the business degree, you'll understand how to open your own business. If
Mhm.
you're in medicine, if you're in engineering, if you're in business, if you're in arts, if you're in whatever technical knowledge you want to work in, get the technical knowledge, get the business degree, and go. You will be able to open your own thing.
Yeah.
So I never deter students from doing that. But I
Yeah.
will say, just work in a company first, get the experience.
Experience.
Because
Yeah.
experience is really important, whether it's through internships, whether it's through volunteering, or when you're older and when you graduate university, go work in that company. See
Yeah.
what they do, see what it looks like, see what the day-to-day looks like, and
Mm.
then break off and open your own thing.
Yeah, yeah. Talking of experiences, I spoke to a lady a few days ago, and she told me in Egypt, as early as when you're 16, 15, you're able to find a job and actually work. Yeah. So some of the skills that they actually have do not necessarily, they did not get them through classroom setting. And I do not think, like in my country, a 16-year-old child feels I'm too young to do anything. I'll just depend on my mom. Would you encourage a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old to actually find a job out there? I mean, in their busy schedule, yes, but that experience, like internship, some of us, I got a job because I started volunteering at a certain company, and eventually they hired me. How would you advise someone? Do these students actually know that through volunteer work or internship, they can actually get jobs? Do you have options for them to go out there and do internships and all that stuff?
No. In Egypt, for international school students,
Yeah.
it's not common
Mhm.
for students to get a job. A
Yeah.
lot of students will go, or I will tell them, what does your dad do? What does your mom do? What does anybody in your family, if they work in something
Yeah.
interesting or close to what you're interested in, go shadow them for a week, a month, a summer,
Yeah.
um, so that they do gain that experience. When
Um,
I was in high school, like I said, I was in high school in Canada. I worked
yeah.
grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. I
Mm.
went out, got a job, got minimum wage, got so much experience, learned so much through meeting people and dealing with
Yeah.
cash and all of these things, and it was priceless.
Yeah.
But in this region with our students, no, it's not very typical for students to get a job. But like I said, it could be an internship, it could be through a friend, through a family member, etc. And I think they're very, very valuable experience. And I definitely try to find work placements for students that maybe are not sure, or like we said, the difference between British universities and American Canadian universities, for example, is that American universities and Canadian universities really look at students' experience.
Yeah.
They want to know that they've played sports or they've done an internship or they have work experience or that they've built something or that they've continued a project from year 10 to year 13. Like they need to see something other than your academics.
Yeah.
And so for students that are interested in applying to the US, I put them in internships or any type of experience in order to build up their applications and to be more um, sought after by American and Canadian universities.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your invaluable wisdom, Sherry.
Yeah.
Any last words to those students, to those teenagers who are watching and saying, I need career guidance, but I don't have anyone close to me? What would you tell them? And how do they, maybe if they need you, can they find you for more easy information or more wisdom that they might need?
For sure, I'd love to help. I can definitely leave you my contact information. And like fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure yet, but ChatGPT, for example, is a great resource to get you started, right?
Wait,
Like,
wait, wait. So recently I had a conversation with my a teacher to my son, and they were telling me how they're using all this information to AI. And I'm like, so is that a good tool for you to use now that you talk about ChatGPT? Is that a good tool to use? Is that technology worth using in our classes now that you mention it? Is it helpful or is it going to mess up our students?
so like anything, moderation and using things responsibly are
Okay.
very important.
Yeah.
If I tell an AI platform to write me an essay, that's not a good idea. However, if I say, help me start this essay about one, two, and three, or what are some ideas I can use, or I want to be an engineer and I want to apply to Harvard. What do I need?
Yeah.
That's a good way of using it. You know what I mean?
So they
Um,
need to know how to use it.
they need to know how to use it. They need to use it responsibly.
Yeah.
And I find it a great starting point. So
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know anything about what I would need to study engineering at Harvard.
Yeah.
Okay, ChatGPT, what do I need? And then I can go on and research those suggestions and then it'll open up my search, right?
Yeah.
So if students have no idea what they want, plug in your interests. Be like, I really like art and building things, and I like this and this. Kind of like what you do with recipes. Like in my
Yeah.
fridge
Yeah.
right now, I have chicken, I have cheese, I have milk, and I have broccoli.
What do I
Find
do?
me a recipe. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with ChatGPT. I like using it as a starting point, and it
Mm-hmm.
helps me then build my research and build what I'm looking for. So ChatGPT is actually a really good tool.
For as long as we do not misuse it.
Exactly. Use it responsibly.
Thank you so much, Sherry. It was lovely having you here today and looking forward to having you more to talk about something totally different. Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
so.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being with you and I really enjoyed today. So thank you so much.
Bye bye. Enjoy your day.
Bye.